Blood is thicker than water, but betrayal runs deeper than both. I learned that lesson the hard way, when the two people I trusted most in this world decided my love, my loyalty, and my family meant nothing compared to their selfish desires. The aftermath of what I discovered that day didn't just destroy relationships. It rewrote our entire family history. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how it all started, and how I made sure justice was served in the most devastating way possible. My name is Tony Rodriguez, and at 39, I thought I had life figured out. I'd been running my own auto repair shop for 15 years, built a solid reputation in our tight-knit community, and had what I believed was a loving relationship with Maria, my girlfriend of 2 years. She was everything I thought I wanted. Beautiful, charming, and seemingly devoted to building a future together. Our family had always been close. Sunday dinners, holiday celebrations, birthdays, we did everything together. My younger brother Danny, 32 and still finding his way in life, had always been the charmer of the family. Where I was the steady, reliable one, Danny was the smooth talker, the one who could make anyone laugh. I'd always looked out for him, helped him through tough times, even lent him money when he needed it. Looking back now, I realize the signs were there for months. The way Maria would suddenly become animated when Danny walked into a room. How she'd ask casual questions about his schedule, his plans, his dating life. The way Danny would find excuses to drop by when he knew I'd be at the shop late. But when you trust people completely, you don't see betrayal coming. You explain away the inconsistencies, make excuses for the strange behavior. The first real warning came during my cousin's wedding 3 months ago. I was talking to my uncle near the bar when I noticed Maria and Danny on the dance floor. Nothing inappropriate, just dancing. But there was something in the way they moved together, the way they looked at each other. When I mentioned it to Maria later, she laughed it off, said Danny was just being his usual flirtatious self, that it meant nothing. I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. But the strange moments kept piling up. Maria canceling our dates at the last minute, claiming work emergencies that never quite added up. Danny being mysteriously unavailable during the same times. Phone calls that ended abruptly when I walked into the room. Text messages that made her smile in ways that used to be reserved for me. The breaking point came on a Saturday in late September. I'd organized a family barbecue at my house. Nothing fancy, just burgers, beer, and the people I loved most spending time together. I'd spent the morning preparing everything, setting up tables in the backyard, decorating with lights, making sure every detail was perfect. This was supposed to be our celebration of family, of the bonds that held us together through everything. Maria had arrived early to help, or so she said. Danny showed up shortly after, offering to assist with the grilling. I was touched by their enthusiasm, grateful for the help. How naive I was. As the afternoon progressed and more family members arrived, I noticed Maria and Danny kept disappearing at the same times. First, she went inside to get more ice. 5 minutes later, Danny went to use the bathroom. Then he went to his car to get something he'd forgotten. Shortly after, Maria went inside to check on the side dishes. The third time it happened, something in my gut told me to follow. I found them in my kitchen, pressed against each other in an embrace that left no room for innocent explanations. Danny's hands were tangled in her hair, her arms wrapped around his neck, kissing with the passion of people who'd done this many times before. In my kitchen, during the family gathering I'd organized, while our relatives laughed and celebrated just outside. I stood there for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds. Deception had finally been exposed. Maria's face went white. Danny couldn't meet my eyes. And in that moment, I realized how long this had been going on. How many family gatherings they'd used as cover. How many times they'd looked me in the eye and lied. I didn't yell. I didn't throw punches. I simply looked at both of them and said I'd be outside with our family, and they could decide how they wanted to handle this. Then, I walked back to the barbecue, served burgers to my cousins, laughed at my uncle's jokes, and played with my nephew, all while my heart was breaking and my mind was racing. They both left within an hour, making separate excuses about not feeling well. Our family was disappointed. They'd been looking forward to spending time with Maria, and Danny was always the life of the party. I made excuses for them, protected them, even as they were destroying me. That night, alone in my house, with the remnants of our family celebration scattered around my backyard, I made a decision. This wasn't just about a cheating girlfriend or a disloyal brother. This was about our family, about the people who'd welcomed Maria as one of their own, who'd trusted Danny to be the man we'd raised him to be. They'd used our family gatherings as cover for their affair. They'd looked our parents in the eye and lied. They'd made our entire extended family unknowing accomplices to their betrayal. This wasn't just about me. This was about everyone who loved us. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly gathered information. I didn't hire a private investigator or go through their phones. I simply started paying attention, asking casual questions, piecing together the timeline. What I discovered was worse than I'd imagined. The affair had been going on for 8 months. They'd been meeting during family events, using our cousin's apartment when he was out of town, even spending time together at the shop after hours when I was out on service calls. Danny had keys to my business, keys I'd given him in trust, and he'd been using my own space to betray me. But the most devastating discovery was that they'd been planning to tell me after the holidays. Not because they felt guilty, but because they wanted to be together openly. They'd been discussing how to break it to the family, how to minimize the damage to their reputations while completely destroying mine. I also learned they'd been careless in other ways. Maria's sister had seen them together, but hadn't said anything, thinking it wasn't her place. Danny's best friend knew and had been covering for them. Even some of our cousins had noticed the chemistry, but had kept quiet, not wanting to cause family drama. Our family's loyalty, our tradition of staying out of each other's business unless asked, had been used against all of us. My plan was simple, and it used the very thing they'd exploited: our family bonds. My parents' 40th wedding anniversary was coming up in 3 weeks. The whole extended family was planning to be there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, everyone. It was going to be the biggest family gathering we'd had in years, a celebration of love, commitment, and the values our family held sacred. I called my mother and offered to organize a special tribute video for the anniversary party. I'd interview family members about my parents' relationship, about what their marriage meant to our family, about the importance of loyalty and commitment. Everyone loved the idea. Over the next 2 weeks, I interviewed nearly every family member, asking them to share their thoughts about love, trust, and what it meant to be part of our family. I recorded aunts talking about how my parents had taught them about commitment, uncles sharing stories about loyalty and looking out for each other. Cousins discussing how our family values had shaped their own relationships. I also recorded Maria and Danny separately, asking them the same questions. Maria spoke beautifully about the importance of honesty in relationships, about how my parents had shown her what true love looked like. Danny talked about family loyalty, about how our parents had taught him to always put family first, to never betray the people who loved him. The irony was lost on neither of them, but they couldn't refuse to participate without raising suspicions. The anniversary party was held at our church's community center, decorated with 40 years of family photos and memories. Nearly 60 family members were there, 3 generations celebrating the love story that had created our entire family tree. After dinner, I stood up to present the tribute video. I started with the beautiful interviews, family members sharing heartfelt stories about love, commitment, and loyalty. My parents were crying. The whole room was emotional. Everyone was feeling the power of family bonds. Then, about halfway through the video, I added a different kind of segment. I'd recorded myself the night before, sitting in my living room, looking directly into the camera. I spoke calmly, without anger, about the importance of truth in families, about how secrets and lies could destroy the very bonds we were celebrating, about how some family members had been living double lives, betraying not just individuals, but the entire family structure we all cherished. Then, I played selected portions of Maria and Danny's interviews. Their words about loyalty and honesty and family values, followed immediately by photos I'd taken of them together over the past few weeks. Nothing inappropriate, nothing that violated their privacy. Just images of them clearly together in ways that contradicted everything they'd just said about family loyalty. The room went completely silent. I concluded by saying that, while we were celebrating 40 years of honest love and commitment, some of us were also facing a harsh reality. We also needed to acknowledge that not everyone in our family shared those values, that some people had been using our family gatherings, our trust, and our loyalty as cover for behavior that went against everything we'd just celebrated. I didn't name them directly. I didn't have to. Maria ran from the room first, Danny right behind her. But the damage was done, and it was complete. Our family is traditional, old-fashioned about relationships and loyalty. What Maria and Danny had done wasn't just cheating. It was a betrayal of family values that went back generations. They'd made everyone complicit in their lies, used sacred family gatherings as cover, and violated the trust of people who'd welcomed them with open arms. The aftermath was swift and devastating. My parents were heartbroken, not just about the betrayal, but about how it had tainted their anniversary celebration. My aunts and uncles were furious that they'd been unknowingly helping cover for the affair. My cousins felt betrayed and manipulated. Danny was essentially ostracized from family events. Not officially, but suddenly he wasn't invited to gatherings, wasn't included in group chats, wasn't welcome at Sunday dinners. Our family didn't cut him off completely. Blood is still blood. But he went from being the beloved charmer to being the nephew everyone was disappointed in. Maria's situation was worse. She'd been accepted into our family as my girlfriend, but she wasn't blood. Once the truth came out, that acceptance evaporated completely. She tried calling my mother, my sisters, even my cousins. But no one wanted to hear her explanations or excuses. The relationship between Maria and Danny crumbled within weeks. Without the excitement of secrecy, without the thrill of forbidden attraction, they discovered they had nothing real to build on. The guilt, the family pressure, and the reality of what they'd destroyed ate away at whatever they thought they had together. Maria moved back to her hometown 2 months later. Danny started dating someone from outside our community, someone who didn't know our family, didn't understand what he'd lost. As for me, I found something unexpected in the aftermath: respect. My family saw how I'd handled the situation, how I'd sought truth rather than revenge, how I'd protected the family's values while exposing the lies. I didn't try to turn people against Maria and Danny. I simply revealed the truth and let our family's own values determine the consequences. My parents eventually thanked me for what I'd done, though it took months for them to get past the pain of having their anniversary overshadowed by family drama. They understood that I'd been protecting not just myself, but the integrity of our entire family. 6 months later, I met Carmen, a woman who understood the importance of family loyalty because she'd grown up with similar values. We've been together for over a year now, and she's been welcomed into our family in ways that feel genuine and lasting. Danny and I have spoken a few times since that night. We're not close anymore. That trust can never be fully rebuilt. But we're civil at the few family events he still attends. He's never apologized, not really. But I can see in his eyes that he understands what he lost. Not just his relationship with me, but his place in our family, the respect of people who'd loved him unconditionally. Sometimes I wonder if I was too harsh, if I should have handled it privately, given them a chance to come clean on their own terms. But then I remember how they'd planned to continue the deception through the holidays, how they'd used our family's love and trust as cover for their betrayal. And I know I made the right choice. The truth has a way of surfacing eventually. I just made sure it surfaced in a way that honored our family's values while exposing those who'd chosen to violate them. Family forgives many things, but some wounds change the family forever. Maria and Danny learned that lesson the hard way, and our family learned that sometimes the person you least suspect might be the one willing to fight for the values that hold everyone together. Blood may be thicker than water, but loyalty and truth are thicker than both.